Hello, everybody. Make sure my volume's up. How is everybody doing tonight? We'll share this to make sure people come in. And let's see. It says share this. Save group for next time. Okay, so we're going to share it. All right, so if you guys are here, let me know you're here so I know who I'm talking to. And there's the comments there. So the topic that I picked for today was emotions, learning to control those emotions, learning to deal with those emotions. And that is a topic that I think is a life journey until you really start to get a handle on it. I mean, even, 2-year-olds, we're starting to have to control our emotions even as a 2-year-old, right? We get the terrible twos. People throwing fits. Hi, Jesse. How are you? How you doing? So I wanted to talk about emotions because it's something that, Berta, hi, never goes away. We don't ever get away from our emotions. But the funny thing is that is the one thing everybody seems to be trying to run from. That's the one thing that we don't really want to do or feel is our emotions. I know in my job, the people that I work with now, I work with a lot of people with substance abuse, and that is the number one reason for substance abuse is because they don't want to feel their emotions. They don't want to feel them. So they're running from them. And they think that by using a substance, drinking, smoking, whatever, that it's going to stop the emotions. The problem is that it actually never stops the emotion. It may numb it for a moment, but it never actually stops the emotions. Because I think Deepak Chopra is the one that said it the best. He's the one that said that we are emotion. That's literally what we are. We are one emotion after another, walking around pretending like we don't have any emotions. We do. We walk around pretending we don't have any. We're like, oh, I'm fine. I'm okay. Nothing's wrong with me. No problems. People say, what's going on? Nothing. What? I'm fine. And we're not fine. So that is what I wanted to talk about tonight. Now, for you guys, if you have something else you want to ask me, feel free to ask me something else. If you want to go off onto another topic, we can go off on another topic as well. So that the whole reason for this group is really all about soul essentials healing. And the reason I named it that is because I think that it's essential to heal down to the soul level. And that's why I named this group. I actually named my business Soul Essentials Healing, Soul Essentials years ago. I named it 20 years ago when I started doing psychic readings, and because I felt like it was essential to heal your soul. So when I started this group, that's why I named it that. So it's really anything healing. And that's why I can talk about this. I can talk about substance abuse. I can talk about energy work. I can talk about all of it. So if you guys have a specific question, please ask me, right? Because I can't answer your questions if you don't ask them. So ask away. What do you want to know? So on the topic of emotions, while I wait for you guys to come in and I wait for you to ask me your questions, on that topic, I made some notes of some things that I wanted to make sure I didn't forget. And one of the things is a lot of people will say to me they want to learn to control their emotions. So we can call it control. We can also call it learning to deal with. We could call it managing our emotions. But I want you to know that the one thing we can't do is get rid of them. Okay, I'm not going to teach you how to get rid of your emotions, but I'm going to teach you how to cope with your emotions. That's what my goal is, to teach you how to cope with them. So we can use the word cope as well. And what we're talking about when we're talking about controlling emotions or coping with emotions, what we're talking about is it's this thing called emotional intelligence. And for me, I think that emotional intelligence is way more important than intelligence. So we have intelligence, which is 2 plus 2 equals 4. That's intelligence. Emotional intelligence, I think, is what we're lacking in this world, and I think it's what we need more than we need intelligence, right? Because you could be the most intelligent person, but if you can't deal with anything, then it doesn't really do any good uh, to be able to invent all these, wonderful things, but then you can't really cope with life. That doesn't help. So coping with life to me is the bigger skill. So that's what emotional intelligence is learning to cope with your emotions. And it is when you are able to not be taken over by your emotions, to not get sucked into the train of thought that gets triggered when you have an emotion. Okay? So let me know if this makes sense to you guys or if this is making sense. When you have an emotion, it's because something got triggered somewhere, somehow. Whether it was the person at the gas station, or maybe it was somebody at school, or maybe it was somebody at work. But somewhere along the lines, you got triggered. And usually it provokes old beliefs that we're holding. So, for example, let's say that you're in the store, you're at Walmart, you're in the store, you're in line, and you're waiting in line, you're waiting to return something, and this person just comes along and just takes cuts. And that triggers you to get angry. Because in your mind, the story that's getting triggered is, this always happens to me. People always take advantage of me, or people always are rude to me, or I always lose out. So that actually, it triggers the belief. That's what's actually being triggered, which is then the emotion thinks that it's going to deal with it for you. So it triggers the emotion anger. So it's going to deal with it for you, right? That's what's really happening. So that you understand kind of the background of, what's really happening when we have emotions and when we have these, uh, you know, um, big responses. It's because we have triggered an old belief system. Uh, my daughter's walking in being weird. Yeah. So, and we start that story back up, and the emotional response thinks it's going to come in and it's going to protect you, it's going to save you, it's going to make a big change, right? By overreacting. So, when you have emotional intelligence and when you learn to start to cope with emotions, what happens is the emotions no longer take you over. That part of it stops. You actually can remain somewhat calm and you can kind of compose yourself and you don't have freakouts, you don't have meltdowns, those kinds of things. It puts a space between you and the emotions, right? There's a space that starts to develop there. So, um, and what are emotions? And we've kind of talked about this before. I don't know if any of you remember what I said about emotions before, like what they are, but emotions are simply energy states within the body. So we have the emotional response to a trigger. Somebody is rude to us, somebody says something mean to us, right? We have that emotional response to it because we got triggered. And what we're really doing is we're really trying to battle with a limiting belief. It's a core belief, right? So we're trying to deal with that and we're having this big emotional response. But emotions are literally just an energy state within the body. That's all they really are. I have to drink my tea. So emotions are energy states within the body. And this is where the spiritual perspective starts to come into this. So your soul that's within you, that's in you, okay, inside of you is a soul. That's your spirit, and it lives within your body, okay? But that's actually not true. It's hard to explain. Your body is inside of your soul, actually. Your spirit is really big. It keeps going and expanding, expanding, expanding out. Energetically, it keeps expanding. Because you have the different energy bodies. And so, but for this conversation, we'll just stick to making it easy. And your soul that's within you, okay, that is eternal. That is your connection to source. That is the God part that's within you. That's the part of you that is the child of God. That's the soul. And that part of you only knows one thing, and that's love. That's it. That's all it knows. It doesn't know all the other emotions. It only knows one emotion. It only knows love. So the soul only knows love. And when you have all these other emotions and they're not of the same frequency, that's where the bad feeling comes in. Okay? So do you understand this? The soul that is within you, the spirit that's within you, only knows one frequency, one emotion, and that's love. And love is the highest frequency emotion. It's the highest on the scale. It's the top, okay? That's the only one that it knows. All the other emotions start going down the scale in frequency. So anger is one of the lowest frequencies of energy. It's one of the lowest. Depression is another low energy. Anxiety is like a fast energy, but it's actually a lower energy. Okay, and then we start getting, when you start getting into happiness and joy and bliss and love, these are higher frequency emotions. But because the soul only knows love, which is the highest, when you have these other emotions that are not so high, that are low frequency, that's why it doesn't feel good. It's really a story about how far off are you from your true self. And your true self is love. Your true self is soul. Your true self is spirit. God is love. That's what God is. Literally. And it's not, I'm not saying that as like, the cliche that, oh, God is love. It's the thing that you put on the plaques everywhere. Like no, I'm seriously, legitly mean God is love. That's who he is. That's his frequency. He is love. So anything that's less than that, because that's what's inside of you, is part of him, which is love. Your soul is love. Anything that's lower than that doesn't feel good. Okay? So,
Don't be shy. Answer the question.
Lisa, shh. Um, Right. So it honestly, the soul only knows love. So anything under that frequency doesn't feel good. So when you have a negative emotion, when you start on this path, that's one of the things to do is to realize that that emotion doesn't feel good because that's how far off center I am from my true self. That's really how far off I am. I'm that far off. So, but let me back up for a minute. Let me back up a little bit and then we'll go back that way, okay? So, um, make sure I am keeping myself on track here. So the other thing, before we go further into the spiritual part of that, is remember, and I've said this to you guys before, but I want to say it again, that no emotion stays, and they're not meant to stay. Okay, emotions are not meant to stay. They are meant to flow because they are energy, and energy doesn't like to stay still. So your energy state is not going to be the same all the time. Now, you can try to get yourself there. You can try to think happy thoughts. You can try to have a positive outlook. You can try to be grateful. Those are all the higher vibrations, which are closer to your true self. They're closer to who you truly are inside, which is source, which is love. Okay? Um, but as a human, you have to know that because it is energy, it will flow, it will move. Okay? And it has to, because energy doesn't like to be still, energy likes to move. It's just like the energy that's running through your walls to turn your lights on. It's a flow. There's a circuit. It's a flow. Okay, it's the same thing is with you. The energy is going to come in and it's going to flow out. So that does mean the good emotions. Now we can try to make those good emotions stay longer, and we can stay in that frequency longer, and we can create that. But the key to this is that includes the bad emotions, the ones that we call bad, the ones we don't like. Those emotions are included in this. They're just an energy state as well. And they have to flow as well. They can't stay. We make them stay because we continue to think the same negative things, the same negative thoughts. We continue to think that our situation isn't going to change or it's not going to get better. But it's not true. Everything is energy and everything is in flow. Everything must change. You remember when you're in, I'll never forget, like being in middle school and high school, and you would have, some people, and the big saying was, somebody would come up to you and that maybe you had a fight or something, and they would be like, "Oh, you've changed. Oh, she's changed." Right? Like that was a bad thing. Like you were not supposed to change. But the reality is that's what life is. Life is change. Life is growth. Life is change. And I can tell you that I sure hope that I've changed since high school. Like that's a good thing. We want to change. We want to grow. That's a good thing. So emotions are energy states that will change. They will not stay. So if you have a bad emotion, if you have a negative emotion, if you have anger, if you have depression, if you have anxiety, if you have jealousy, if you have rage, one of the very first steps is to remind yourself that this is an energy state that's going to change. It will not stay forever. That is part of the emotional intelligence, is starting to have that conversation with yourself of saying, oh, I've got some pretty intense emotions here right now. I'm pretty mad right now. Okay? When you can start to have the conversation with yourself and notice that you have an emotion or you're having an emotion, that is the beginning of spiritual awakening. That is the beginning of awareness, of consciousness. That is the beginning, is being able to notice that I am having an emotion. Okay? That is the very first step, and that is the beginning to emotional intelligence. That is the beginning to freeing yourself from those emotions. It's the beginning of spiritual awakening. It's the beginning of developing consciousness, awareness. That's the key. That's the beginning right there. Okay? So the first step is to notice when you're having emotions. That's the first step. To start to, instead of them consuming you, engulfing you, taking you over, instead of them becoming you, you now are able to go, oh, I'm having some depression today. So now you realize that there's a little space between you and that depression. There's a little space there. Okay? And that little space makes all the difference in the world. That's where the freedom lies, is noticing that little space. That I'm having this depression. I am not this depression, but I'm having it. And if I'm having it, and emotions are energy, then that means it's going to go. At some point, it's going to leave. It's going to change. It has to, right? So you no longer become prisoner to them. They don't have to consume you all day, every day. We don't have to be prisoner to our emotions. That was probably one of the biggest things for me. The biggest freeing ideas or concepts that I ever learned was that I don't have to be prisoner to this. It doesn't have to have its grips on me all day, every day. I can be free from it. Okay? So that's one of the first things that I wanted to make sure that is everybody understood. So if you guys have any questions about that, have any questions about emotions, about what they are, about the fact that they leave, the fact that they change, let me know. Go ahead and put your questions in there. Or if you guys want to change the topic and you want to talk about something else tonight, we're welcome to do that too. Okay. So, like I said, I wanted to make some notes to make sure that I can stay on track and know what I'm talking about, right? So the beginning stages is the awareness, creating that awareness. And the another step of the creating the awareness is putting a name to the emotions, acknowledging the emotions. You put a label on it. It's mad, it's sad, it's happy, it's, whatever it may be. You put a label on that emotion. When you do that, that in itself also separates it from you. It makes it not as strong. When you can label it, when you can say, oh, I'm experiencing this, right? So that is another thing to do. And then, to make sure I think about all the, oh, I am yawning, guys. I wasn't tired. Let me see if I can see your, it looks like they moved the comments. I'm trying to see if I can see your comments. Hi, Deanne. You want to label mine as exhausted? I am. Yeah. So here's the thing: is I am tired. I guess I'm tired, but um, I've had some negative emotions for the last couple days, honestly. So the thing I don't want to promise you is that you won't have emotions. I can't promise you that because you're going to have them. You're human, and we're here to experience. Um, and that's what we're here for. The whole reason that we are here is to experience life. That is why we come here. Because on the other side, while somebody could essentially go golfing or go fishing, walk through the stream, walk through the field, they could do that over there. And they understand that experience and they know that that experience is joyful because there is only one emotion over there. They can't actually touch it. They can't taste it. They can't really hear it like we do with our ears. They can only know it. They just know, but they don't actually experience it. In order to experience life, you got to come to Earth. You got to be born. That's why we come here, because we're here to experience life. So when we ask, why are we doing this? The whole reason we're doing this is to experience life. And it part of it is to learn. Part of it is to grow as a soul, to expand and to evolve. But why here? Why Earth? It's because here I can touch the table. I can touch you. I can taste. I can smell here. I can feel. Can't really do that on the other side. There's this sense of all knowing on the other side because you get connected back to source. It's not like we're not connected to source. We are. We're just not as connected to source. We're closer to source on the other side. We're back into our original form. So we don't really get to touch each other on the other side. We don't get to eat pizza on the other side. We don't get to go to the beach and have the sand through our feet, our toes. Now we know what that feels like because we've been here, we've experienced our lives. We've had numerous lives here, many lives here. We know what that feels like, but we can't actually experience it because you don't have a physical body. So on the other side, there is only one emotion, and that's love. That's it. There's no other emotion. God is love, period. He is love. He is the energy of unconditional love. And it is love to the extent that no human could ever explain it. No human could ever even really feel it. So for myself, I equate it to uh, the love of having a child, if you've ever had a child, or the love of a baby kitten or a puppy. It is that intense love times like a million. It is so engulfing and so overwhelming. This strong sense of love and belonging and purpose and wholeness. That's God. That's what we call God. And as a soul, you merge back into with God. Now, you are your individual soul, but your energy merges back with source. So you feel again like you are home and you only have one emotion. So when I talk to people on the other side, when I do my readings, there are some that will tell me that, maybe they didn't live their life the best or they didn't live the happiest. And, but they don't ever, like, I don't ever really get this genuine sense of loss or this genuine sense of regret or um, anger or anything like that. I don't ever really get that. Now, I have had people, when I do the readings, I have had people say to me that, people on the other side, by the way, so people that are already on the other side, I have had them say to me that they weren't ready to go, but they're okay now that they're there. But when they, hey Darcy, how you doing? Um, so we're talking about emotions tonight, Darcy, and emotional control, emotional intelligence, where we don't allow our emotions to take us over. And that's morphed into people on the other side. So I have, out of all the people that I've talked to, I've never had somebody really tell me they regret a lot of things. While at the same time, they're aware that they maybe didn't make the best choices or they could have done things better or they should have changed some things. But they don't ever tell me that they just truly just regretted everything and that's it, it's over. That they're sad. Alyssa, I need you to be quiet. Can you be quiet? Yes. My granddaughter's here with my daughter. So they're being crazy. Um, so I've had people who, from the other side, who, they hurt people while they were here, or maybe they have done some things that maybe they shouldn't have done, and I've had them tell other people that they're sorry. Um, but yeah, I've never had somebody come through and they're just angry or they're hateful or they're super regretful, because once you get back to the other side, you get healed. So what happens is when your body leaves, it goes through kind of this phase of healing. And it also goes through this phase of reviewing what happened in your lifetime and what you did in your lifetime. And during that phase, your soul basically gets healed back into its love state, back into its everything is love, everything is great state. And it sees, the things that it did well in this lifetime and the things that it didn't do so well in this lifetime, the things that maybe it would want to work on for another lifetime to, keep going down the path. And then once it's done its review, then it moves on. But everybody goes through a review. Everybody looks at, well, I had this goal of, I wanted to learn how to love myself. How did I do on this time? Oh, I did so. I might need to come back for that. So, and here's the thing that, like my soul, I don't know what I was thinking. And I seriously, like, what was I thinking? Um, and so the thing about this is that um, when you are on the other side and you are picking your life plan, your soul's plan, and you're deciding the things that are going to happen in your life to get you to where you need to go. Your soul is doing it, not your human self. Your soul is doing it. And what emotion does the soul have? Love. It only has love. It only has unconditional love and support. So your soul's like, oh, you're going to have a dad that's going to leave you. Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Oh, you're going to have this happen. Oh, you're going to have that. Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Your soul only knows love. That's it. It only knows love. So it thinks everything's going to be just great. Now, there is supposedly a council that, if you try to pick too much or you try to take on too much, apparently there's a council that does try to advise you that maybe you're taking on too much in one lifetime. And that would pose a high risk for like suicide and other issues. Um, but ultimately, because we have free will, that it's your decision to take on those lessons. And I'm pretty sure that I did that. I'm pretty sure I took on way more than I should have, um, because my soul wanted to advance really far for some reason. And so my soul thought it was all great, and because I'm just going to go back and be healed and be with God and everything's going to be awesome. Right? So it's not a big deal. But from my human perspective, I just think, what the heck is going on? What the heck did I pick for my lifetime, and why? Why would I ever pick this? Right? It makes no sense to me from the human perspective. And until you start to do this emotional control that I'm talking about tonight, this is one of the reasons why I teach it so much, is because I can't get you to the spiritual side if I can't get you through your emotions. If I can't get you to quit being so attached to your emotions and thinking that they are you and letting them take you over and suck you under, then I can't get you to the spiritual side. I can't get you to that true healing, okay? So that's one of the reasons why I talk about this emotional intelligence so much. Learning to cope with your emotions, learning that you are not your emotions. They're just a state that is within you. I'm not saying your emotions are not real. They are real. They are real things that you're experiencing. Some emotions are really negative. Some of them are very low vibration and don't feel good. But what I want you to realize is that you don't have to stay there in those emotions. You can come out of them. And staying in them doesn't help you. Staying in them doesn't serve any purpose. We're not getting any gold badge of honor because we're mad or we're sad. Okay, we need to be able to allow ourselves to come out of those negative emotions, to be well, to be okay, to be whole. We need to allow that to be a thing, to be okay. So it's one of the reasons why I teach it so much, because I know what it's done for me. When I started working on my emotions and realizing that I didn't have to be a prisoner to them, that's really when my spiritual teachings really took off. And that's where my inner peace really started to kick in, and my freedom and my understanding of why I'm here. What is all this for? I've had this crazy, crazy life that just full of so much pain. What the heck was all that for? And it was all those perfect lessons for me to get where I am today, so I can help others, right? So let me look at some of your guys' questions. Yeah, Darcy, it is on Tuesdays right now at 7. I have been wanting to move that to Thursday just to give me, I know it's a week-to-week thing, but I don't know if it's because it's the weekend and then it's Monday and I got to go back to work, but to give me like a few more days to prepare. And I do like to prepare for you guys. I do like to figure out something to talk about. and have a topic. And I don't have to do that though, because I can just freely talk about pretty much anything. But for right now, it's still Tuesday at 7. Um, oh, you forgot today was Tuesday. You know what? I actually did too for a minute today, so maybe we got some time warp going on there. Samar, I have had people that have died, that died early, have told me that they were not ready to go, that they did not want to go, um, and that they do want to tell their family that they're sorry, that they want to send their love. I have had that happen numerous times when I talk to people on the other side. I also have had people who have died from like disease early who said they were not ready to go. They wanted to live longer. And some people enjoy it here. Some people enjoy life here. They really enjoy life. I know that for most of us, while we are in our dark night of the soul, or are healing our childhood traumas, or we're healing, doing our shadow work, which is really all just emotional healing, it's not so fun. And we wonder what the whole purpose is for being here. But some people really enjoy it here. And I think that once you start doing your emotional healing and you start moving down this spiritual path, life becomes more enjoyable. It does. It truly does. And that's another reason why I teach what I do, because I know that, for me, my life wasn't that fun a lot. It really wasn't. I didn't have, my father was very angry as a child. My first husband was an abusive alcoholic, and he will admit it. And that wasn't so fun. I was a single mom for many years of 3 girls. That wasn't that fun. Just saying, it just wasn't, right? But the more I did this, the more I did this healing, life can be fun. So where do old souls fit in? I guess it's someone coming back. So all of us are old souls. There are very, very few of us here that are not old souls. Earth has been around for, what is it, 200 million years now, something like that. People, 200,000 years. There's very few of us that are not old souls at this point. So there are some, that are older than others, but old souls do come back. Some of them, uh, there are some that come down that are advanced souls, such as like Eckhart Tolle Smar. He would be a very old soul who is advanced and has his awakening fairly early, 30 years old in life, and then goes on and teaches it. Um, Jesus would have been an old soul, an evolved soul. So they come down more of acts of service. And that's really the key, guys, is once you figure out your purpose, like this is my purpose. My purpose is teaching this and helping people to heal their soul. Once you figure out your purpose, then the job is to spread it. So even if your purpose is animals, if you know that's your purpose, then that's where you're supposed to spread that out, that love out to the world. And it doesn't really matter what your purpose is. It's okay to have different purposes because we all need different purposes. So I need someone that does animals, right? And then we need someone who also does food, and we need someone who does the plants. And we need someone who does what I do. And we need all these different people to um, yeah, thanks, Samar. Yeah, my life wasn't it wasn't pretty. It just wasn't, and it wasn't always fun. I was raised by my dad. He was not a very happy camper, but this is the key to it, is this emotional healing. So um, once you figure out what your purpose is, then your job is to spread it out. Like Eckhart Tolle is one of my favorite spiritual teachers. He had his awakening. He went through his dark night of the soul, or healing his trauma. and he now has his purpose, and now you spread it out to the world. That's what God wants you to do, is figure that out. And don't be worried about what your purpose is, though, because some people are meant to work with animals. That's what they're meant for. Some people are meant to work with the plants, because we need somebody to do each one of these things, right? So, um, let's see. I think, Darcy, did you ask me a question or no? I wanted to make sure, see if you asked me a question. They moved where the questions are, which is kind of weird. Um, so, yeah. So, any other questions, guys, about emotional healing or the other side? So, when it comes to the emotions, one of the key things I want you to remember is not only to just start to notice the emotions and to put a label to them. That way we can kind of decide which one they are, but also to know that they move. That's the other key component. And then once you start to become aware of these emotions, um, and step outside of yourself and start to say, oh, well, I'm having this emotion. What happens is you begin to start to be able to kind of monitor the emotion. You can kind of notice the emotion when it comes. So Eckhart says this in his teachings, where at first, when you're still under the control of your emotions, when your emotions still have control of you, let's say you get angry. And so my husband did this one time to me while I was practicing this, right? I'm going to figure out how to be the spiritual guru here. And we have outside of our house, we have these like flowers and bushes, and I'm usually the one that does the trimming of these. He doesn't normally do that. So, but every year that I do it, he doesn't like how I do it, right? So this one time he noticed that I had trimmed them, and he come up and he basically said that I hacked them up and that I killed them. And I was like, you know what? And I just kind of went off on him for a minute. And then I was stopped and I was like, oh, he got me. It happened. He got me. There was nothing I could do. So I didn't notice it until after it already happened. And I was like, oh, dang it. Right? I'm not this spiritual guru yet. I don't have this mastered. And I don't know that you ever do get it mastered per se. Because again, we're human and we're meant to have emotions. But then what happens is you can be having a conversation with somebody and maybe something is said and maybe you get triggered by something that's said or something that's done, and you're in the middle of the conversation and then you start to notice that emotion is coming, that energy shift has changed. And it is an energy shift. So the energy has shifted, the energy has changed. Now you can say, oh, here's this emotion. And now when you notice the emotion, what happens is now you have the choice. You have the choice to react or not. You can still let it run through you and control you and you can react, or you now, because you're practicing being aware, you're practicing noticing it, you know which emotion it is now because you've labeled them. Now you have the choice. Do I allow this to control my behavior, or do I walk away? Do I breathe? Do I take a step back? What that does is that gives you that allowance to have that choice of how you want to react. And then what starts to happen is, what I did is I started to notice certain people. There would be certain people that would trigger me. So before I would even get into a conversation with those people. So let's say it's my husband, right? This is a person that triggers me, right? Um, so what I do is, knowing that this person normally triggers me, is I position myself before I even engage with that person to say, okay, so you know that this person triggers you. You know you don't have to respond. You can notice the emotions, but you can just let them flow. You don't have to react to them. So before I've even engaged with this person, I'm already set up to be okay. Do you guys understand that? Do you see that? Where before I would just let things happen and it would just happen and it'd be like, oh, crap. And now I'm preparing myself before. It doesn't take a lot of effort. It's not hard. I just prepare myself and I say, okay, I'm going to stay centered. I'm going to stay balanced. I'm not going to let these emotions take me over, because I can allow them to come. I can be with them. I can allow them to go. Don't have to react on them. So that's what I do. That's the next step of this. Once you get through those first steps, is then you start to learn to position yourself in a way to where you don't react on these emotions. How can I, you're overwhelmed, how can I enjoy it and appreciate hard work for progress? How can I enjoy it and appreciate my hard work? Enjoying it is comes from gratitude. Being able to enjoy it and appreciate it comes from gratitude of noticing the little steps that you've taken each day. So it can be anything, that you got up today, that you made your bed today, that you got dressed today, that you know, did any of the things. But when it comes to like what you're doing, you just apply it to your situation. So you enjoy things by acknowledging the small accomplishments that you're making without your mind saying, yeah, but I didn't do that, but I haven't done this. Okay? Just appreciating where you are at the moment and not saying what you haven't done, not saying what you haven't accomplished. That's the mind coming in again to try to boss you around. And you are the one that has to stop the mind and say, you know what? No, I did a good job today. I did enough things today. I tried today. I did my best today. Okay? So that self-talk is so important in life. It's so vital. The conversations we have with ourselves are the most important conversations you will ever have. Ever. Okay? So it's kind of like laying your head on the pillow at night. I always say that when I lay my head on the pillow at night, I want to know that I at least tried my best. I no longer have to be perfect. I had to be perfect for many years. I don't have to be perfect anymore. I have to be good enough. I have to try hard enough. But I don't have to be perfect. And did I try hard enough? And if I did, then that's okay. I can go to sleep. And then I have tomorrow. Okay? So work on the self-conversation and work on actually giving yourself praise for what you have done. All right. In spite of being allergic and wow. Hi, Juliet. Um, okay, yeah, if you are allergic to animals, then you definitely don't want to be working with them. Oh no. Oh my gosh. Oh no. Samar. Yeah, you guys, the self-talk is, I can't express how important that self-talk is. Let's see. Who wanted to work with animals, being allergic, 30 shots. He knew, brought, was willing to bring my son's dog to. Mm, yeah. The suicide people that commit, my brother committed suicide. I had a baby brother. I had one sibling and he committed suicide. They're on the other side too, okay? There's only one place to go, and it's always a very sad thing, but do know that they get healed, their souls get healed as well, and that they do go on the other side. Um, yeah, Darcy, let me know if that works for you, but you want to start with that self-talk, okay? And um, that self-talk is important with learning to control the emotions. You could have a big emotion that comes in, and it's okay to say to yourself, okay, you're having this emotion. You know what? Just breathe with it. Just breathe. Just let it be. I don't have to react. I don't have to do anything. Actually, it's probably better I don't right now because the emotion that I'm having is so strong. I probably won't make the best decision anyways. So I probably want to wait. That's probably better that I do wait than at that I respond right now. So I always try to make myself wait, especially if it's a super strong emotion, like anger, which, like I said, I've told you guys, I don't get anger a whole lot. Like anger, like real, like anger down to the core. I don't get that a whole lot. Um, I used to. I spent many years angry in my life, but I don't get that anymore. But when I do, I usually just sit with it because I know that I probably shouldn't say anything right now. And I shouldn't probably act or react because I'm not in the right space. Again, that's a lower vibration energy. Even though it's an intense energy, intensity does not equal the vibration. Okay, the vibration is a low vibration, but it can be super intense and take us over. So when you have emotional control, you realize that you don't have to respond to those emotions. You don't have to react to them. You can just let them be and it will be okay. The world will not fall apart if you don't react. It will not fall apart. And reacting doesn't necessarily always get us the respect that we want anyways. Some of the most respected people are the people that walk away. Um, Purgatory is not real. Samar, as far as when people pass, what I think is purgatory is what, not everybody experiences this, by the way, but some people um, experience, some people just go straight, they're just boom, straight to the other side. Um, it is true. Intensity does not equal the vibration. You can have super, like depression. It's a super low, good Lord, it's low. It's right down at the bottom, but it can be super intense. Okay? So that's not the same thing. Um, so as far as purgatory goes, some people go straight to the other side. They're bam, they're in the light, they're on the other side, they're in the beautiful meadow garden with God right there. And then there is some that require more healing. So what happens is the soul comes out of the body, okay? And the soul goes up. And there is this space that is described as being black, but black in um, a loving way, not a scary way, not a dark way, not a heavy way, but a very loving way, because I don't know if you've heard this, but um, the universe is actually full of this dark matter that they don't technically know what it is yet, and it's like 99.999999999% dark matter. That's what the universe is made of. So it's kind of like that. It's like this space, and it's this dark matter. It's black, but what happens in this space is it's actually like a healing chamber. It's like a healing space. So the soul gets healed from all the things that it's kind of dealt with here. Um, any traumas and things like that that it's dealt with, any physical issues. And that is what I think the Catholics think is purgatory. It's not actually purgatory, it's a healing space that the soul goes into um, before it goes to heaven. So it's like, there's a lot that went on in that soul's life. There's a lot of kind of things that need to be healed first, and then they go to the other side. Um, but as far as anybody that I've ever talked to from the other side, or anything that I've ever studied, I've never actually found a purgatory. It doesn't exist. It's not a thing. It's not a real thing. It's a man-made concept, and nobody gets held here for bad actions, because there's technically no bad actions. There's technically no sin. You can't sin. All you can do is not reach your full goal or your full plan that you came here for. Um, but there's no technical sin, and you actually can't screw it up, because you can choose to come back and try again. So there's actually no screwing it up either, right? That you can't mess it up. Um, those are human boundaries. Those are human expectations we put on. Um, yeah, no, there's no nurse's office. There's no purgatory. Yeah, there's no getting in trouble. Period. When you get to the other side, it's not. There's no getting in trouble. There's no you failed, you sinned, you screwed it up. There's a review that we have, and we see, in a sense, because the lack of other words to use, how did I do on, I had this goal that I was going to learn how to be self-sufficient, or I was going to learn self-love, or I was going to learn gratitude, or I was going to learn compassion. So how did I do on that, on that topic, on that goal? Um, but it's not really a pass or fail thing either, because your soul looks and says, oh, well, I think I pretty well got that. Oh, so good. Okay, what do you want to do next? Right? But there's no real failing. It's just a matter of learning and evolving and growing. It's not technical failing. There's God is all loving. He always accepts us no matter what. So you really can't get it wrong. Can't fail. Oh, Darcy. Uh, yes, it is our choice to come back to Earth. We choose that. The review, no, it doesn't. There's always a review. So not everybody I've heard goes into that healing space where they get healed first before they go to the other side. But there is always a review. But you are judging you. God's not judging you. You are deciding on how well you felt you did this time on the goal that you set out for. You set out a goal. You set a plan. And then you as a soul decide how well you did with that. So when you go through that review, you then can decide if you want to come back and do it again. if you want to come back and learn again. And sometimes you'll come back right away, and then sometimes you'll wait. They'll be in between lifetimes. Um, Once you hit basically Buddha, Jesus space, Eckhart Tolle, he may be one that's there. I know Bettatino Massaro, he's definitely there. You're pretty much towards the end of the evolution and you're not going to come back. Um, so, uh, but there is always a review, and you always have that choice to decide to come back or to not come back, because one of the key things about this that people don't really understand, and I sometimes don't understand, is that there's always free will. God doesn't make you come back here. You choose to come back here to continue learning, to continue evolving, to continue growing. And some people come down as light workers, and I would be considered one of those. I was told years ago I was a light worker because of all the things I've been through. Light workers are those that choose to come down here to help others. So you are always a choice. Yes, you choose to come here. And murderers and child molesters. So this is really, that's something that, again, um, that you have to understand that it's about the soul's plan. Okay, so if I want to learn forgiveness, then I say, well, okay, I need to learn forgiveness. So I'm going to have a child, and I'm going to need for that child to be murdered so that I can practice forgiveness. Or I'm going to need to be molested as a child so I can practice forgiveness. And this other soul over there comes along and says, hey, I'll do it. I'll do it for you. And you're like, okay, sweet, let's do it. Right? And another person comes along and says, well, I'll be your mom and I won't be so good at it, so that we can make sure that, yeah, that'll be awesome. Okay, let's do this. It is all set up like a big matrix, like the movie. It's all set up. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm not saying I want it. I'm not saying that I like it. I'm saying that there's a reason for it. So these these people um, can potentially be our angels in disguise. They are there to help us learn lessons from the soul perspective. Okay, this is soul perspective. I'm not talking human perspective. Guys, you can't understand this from the human perspective, but from the soul perspective, you can understand that, oh, I can see now, yeah, if I wanted to learn forgiveness, then yes, I would have molestation in my past, and I would learn to heal and get over that, um, so that I could grow as a soul. Okay? Human perspective is different, and our murderers and our child molesters, those are people who have been abused. I'm not making excuses. I'm not saying I agree with it, but they have been um, abused. That's why they abuse. Abusers have been abused. Okay? But from the soul perspective, yes, Samar, it is like movie stars in a movie. It takes all the roles to get the moral of the story out, to get the lesson out. It takes, and everybody's got a lesson in that part. Everybody's got a role. Everybody's got a message in that part. That is very much how how it is. That's how it goes. Um, and I know it's kind of crazy, and I've looked at my life and shook my head and said, I do not, I do not know what I was thinking. I serious to God don't know what I was thinking. Um, and I've always said that when I get to the other side, me and my soul, we're going to have a conversation. We are going to have a conversation. Um, so yeah, these are, you have to look at things from the human perspective, okay? It is all about, Movie stars choosing disguising roles. Yeah. Yes, we choose our parents. We choose that. We choose it all. We have freedom in what we do. We have freedom in um, different roads in our life. We have freedom in certain paths that we will take. We have freedom in learning to heal, but a lot of it is already pre-chosen by you, your soul. You picked your parents, you picked your children, you picked where you were going to live, what nationality you were going to be, what color you were going to be, if you were going to be rich or poor, if you were going to have siblings, if you weren't going to have siblings. Um, and you picked it all. And I know that seems insane, guys. And trust me, um, I had one sibling. He committed suicide. I It's just me. Why would I ever pick that? That's insane. Why would I ever pick to live out my life alone without any siblings? My mom has passed. Why would I do that? But that's from the human perspective, okay? You can't look at things from that perspective because from that perspective, it doesn't seem right. But from the soul perspective, I get it. I understand that I wanted to be this bold, brave soul and I wanted to learn self-forgiveness and self-love. I wanted to do those things. And it's okay. I get it now. And I know that as long as I can heal my heart and I can practice unconditional love and forgiveness, then it's okay. It's okay. Um, no, nationality doesn't exist in heaven. The reason for nationality, for race, for gender, for straight, for bisexual, for gay, for black, white, is for us to learn unconditional love. That's the reason for it. We need to learn unconditional love. And the only way to do that is to present a variety of things for us to learn that we're all one. We're all one. It doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are, how tall you are, how dark you are. None of that matters. We are all one. We are all the same. But the reason for all the differences is one, Source likes to create. It likes to expand. It likes to experience. And two is because the ultimate answer is unconditional love. And then also, to experience, you can't experience everything from just being like me, like white, blue-eyed person, female. How am I supposed to experience all the different varieties of life, all the different flavors of life from just this one way? You can't. You have to have that multitude of ways, that millions of ways. You have to be able to experience it from the black man's way, the white man's way, the Indian way, the Spanish way, the Brazilian way, all these different ways in order to really have experience. That's why we need all these different things. And also to teach us that, um, we're all one. We all have a heart. We all hurt. We all feel. We all are one. And we all want the same thing. We all want to be loved, heard, and accepted. That's what we all want. We all want the same thing. All of us. And we're all just going about it in different ways. But we all want the same thing. And when we figure that out and we start giving it to each other, that's when the true difference will come. So, All right, guys. So it's been interesting talk. It's a not on the same subject, but I like that. I like that you guys have asked questions, that you're engaged. Thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate you guys so much for being here. Appreciate you for being in the group. And please feel free to make sense. Right. Yeah, feel free to ask me anything, guys. Post questions in the group. Let me know what you guys want to learn about. I'm pretty open to almost any topic that you guys would have, any question you would have. I would love to help you. And um, I am going to go see what my grandkids are up to, my granddaughter and my daughter. Everybody have a great night. Thank you.